Hello again, everybody. Great to see you. Great to hear all this good conversation happening. I know you're antsy to get this service started. We are going to go ahead and start the service in the space, and unfortunately, we still don't have sound to our Zoom diaspora folks. So just send good energy to the amazing tech folks in the back and give them a round of applause while we're doing that. They are amazing, and they will soon have those Zoom folks in this space with us. But as we prepare to ground ourselves and move into this service, I know that Ritsch and Elæ are going to organize some folks for our shared meal next week. So Ritsch and Elæ, if you could start off. Oh, wonderful, we're on. Hello. Hi, everybody in the Zoom room. It's great to see you. I love that I don't even have to tell you. Wave to those folks, everybody. Turn around. Hello, Matthew and everybody in there. It's so wonderful to have you in this space. We feel you. Can't wait to see you at the end of this service. Sorry for the hiccup. Our tech folks have been working beautifully to get you into this space with us. Ritsch and Elæ, come on up and give us your announcement.
I am the well-known Ritsch and Elæ. Usually you see me with my short courses. So we're new to the Thanksgiving preparation thing, which we're obviously excited about. And we want to remind people that we have these, which we can give you today if you want to bring something in it next week. So meet us at the end. We'll be able to pass these out. And I'm going to pass around this for a final tally for people who might want to add things. I will say, if you put your email on, my combination of my cataracts and glaucoma, make sure you print it easily so I can decipher the email. I think I did pretty well on that. And we'll send out reminders to people about what's up and what's coming. We're a little bit low on mains, but I think everything's going to work out because this is the house of plenty. Okay.
Thank you, Ritsch and Elæ, so much. And if we have not met, or you could use the reminder, my name is Micah, my pronouns are they, them, and I am the senior minister of Judson Memorial Church here. If you are new in this space, there is a welcome table in the back, personed by a member of our board, LJ, who's raising her hand there. And we would love to get to know you. There's a way to sign up so that we can be in touch with you, and LJ can answer lots of questions that you might have about this community and the things that we do here, and the things that we hope to do as well. And speaking of things that we hope to do, I am going to call us to some attention to our land acknowledgement, which is both an acknowledgement of the first peoples of this land, but also it is something that we hope to embody more fully as we continue to move forward as a community of radical hope. So give your attention to these words. We gather today on land that is the ancestral home of the Munsee Lenape tribe of the Lenni Lenape people. We acknowledge these people of the Stony Country and decry the unjust taking of their Lenape hoking. To acknowledge well and move beyond ceremony to reciprocity, we commit to expanding ourselves in order to better understand our place on this land. We extend honor to those people who still live on and steward the land, and we commit to making meaningful connections between the original people and their ancestral land in order to counteract the myth-spinning systems in which we exist today, including white supremacy, Christian supremacy, and settler colonialism. And we extend ourselves to counteract all harm to original peoples that perpetuates a narrative of erasure. If you are interested in learning more about how we are attempting to actively embody those words, you can come find me or LJ in the back and learn more about Sacred Reckonings, the small group within this congregation who actively gathers weekly to discuss and move into action for how to not only be a post-colonial church, but also an anti-racist church. And it's so wonderful to have all of you here. Today, we are kicking off Transgender Awareness Week, which actually starts tomorrow, but we, rebels that we are going to kick that off today as we move through this next week. So I am so honored that speaking today is community member Elæ Moss. So wonderful to have you here. And our prelude and our offertory song will both be performed by the creators of Doll Girl, which is this week's Judson Arts Wednesday offering. This Wednesday at 6:30, we will serve a community meal as always, and then at 7:30, you can witness the beautiful unfolding of a piece that is actively being created in this space and has been over the past week. So Lisa and Joseph, please come up. If you were here at our Pride Sunday service this past June, you got a taste of this piece, but I can't think of two other voices that I would rather have in this space than Lisa and Joseph today, and also the voice of Greer Langton, who you will hear about momentarily. So Lisa and Joseph, take it away.
Good morning, how are you? Thank you for having us. Thank you, Micah. So a little over a year ago, I was at a conference in Pittsburgh, and I was at the Mattress Factory Museum. If you don't know that, it's one of the contemporary art museums in Pittsburgh. And I came across an incredible installation by the artist Greer Langton. I was surprised with my own identity as an artist and a human being in the world that I'd never heard of her. Greer was a trans woman. She was a contemporary of Andy Warhol and Basquiat, but of course very few of us knew of her because not only was she a woman, but she was a trans woman. I immediately reached out to Lisa and said, "You've got to know about Greer Langton." And Lisa hadn't heard about Greer Langton. And it was in that moment we decided that we needed to tell her story. Greer's art is a collection of incredible dolls, some of them really tiny, some of them life-size. And much of her work is very either autobiographical or speaks to the people of her community and her heyday in particular here in New York City back in the 80s. Greer unfortunately passed away of a drug overdose in 1996. So Lisa and I, for about a year now, have been working on Doll Girl. It consists of Greer herself and three of her most iconic dolls played by trans and non-binary genderqueer artists. We hope you'll join us this Wednesday. It'll be our very first time sharing the complete musical as it is right now. I tore it apart last night and moved songs around, so Lisa's mad at me, but but we're really excited, and we have an incredible creative team and cast and designers working with us. So this first song is from the very top of the musical. It's called Doll Boy. We find Greer, and suddenly a puppet portraying a 10-year-old boy named Gregg, which is Greer's former self, appears with a little doll of his own, and the little doll looks exactly like Greer, and this is her song to him.
There you are, so alone, so small, peering through a doorway 3 times as tall, tinted by a blood-red sky, window pane chipped away without goodbye. On broken ground your shadow falls, trapped inside your body's questioning walls. As memories shift before your eyes, slipping quick and turning into lies. It's Doll Boy, the past lost from my hat. Doll Boy, his memories now are dead. Doll Boy, the one you left behind. Doll Boy, in a world unkind. Doll Boy, Doll Boy, Doll Boy, Doll Boy. There he is, so alone, so small, peering through a doorway 3 times as tall. No one answers his whispered whys. 1,000 tears pool in your eyes, too young to know which way to turn. A flood of things for him to learn. He stares at me with a distant gaze, somehow thinking I know the way. It's Doll Boy, the past lost from your head. Doll Boy, all the memories are dead. Doll Boy, so different now from him. Doll Boy, see my own light skin. Doll Boy, doll. I made a choice, or was that really me? To stay like you or become free. And just like that, the world began to turn, and all my desires burn. And here I am, and there you are. You seem so close, but all too far. Here I am, so alone, so small, peering through a doorway 3 times as tall, tinted by a blood-red sky. Window pane chipped away without goodbye. On broken ground my shadow falls, trapped inside my body's shifting walls. As memories play before my eyes, what's the truth and where's the lie? It's dull, boy, the path's lost from my head. Dull, boy, those memories now are dead. Dull, boy, what's left to see? Dull, boy, which one of you is me? Here I am, so alone, so small, peering through a doorway 3 times as tall. It's dull, girl.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Joseph and Greer. And now I invite you, if you feel comfortable in this space, to close your eyes for a moment and imagine your own continuous unfurling as we call ourselves to worship with a praise hymn for my pronouns. I sing the body eclectic, electrified by the embrace of my own ownership. I am my own creator and creation. Imagination erupting to disrupt my old me, winding out to find out who I will be. There are tiny ones watching, witnessing the ways in which we either invent or prevent liberation. I cry to them, I am he, she, they, it, ze, zir, non, and none, reshaped, respun. Words are never the entire story, but they are the thresholds to new molds. Don't be told who you are. Let bold new tales unfold. Fearfully and wonderfully, we are remade every time we transcend the push to pretend. Divinity ratcheted to infinity, salt and light, bright and tasty, if we will get out of, illumine, and flavor the way. I sing a song I must relearn each day. Be the one you needed before the world proceeded to break and box you. Belong to yourself and family will find you. Stretch your soul to hold the holy parts that make you, then rise above all that can be named or tamed and become the kingdom come. Every freed part a fresh start, every inch that was once shamed, claimed, every I, the why, showing the way to we. Amen. And now, please rise in body and or spirit. And we've got Michael Koehn coming up to song lead with us each of the songs that we're singing today, just because some of them are pretty new lyrics and melodies. So if you lose yourself and feel disoriented, just gravitate toward Michael's voice. Also, I can't wait to hear what melody you come up with while you're lost.
Journeying through life unafraid of change. Some paths are straight, some are winding and curious. Side by side we move through the new and strange. Fear will not stop our evolution. We will queer as assumptions and more. We bring to light a brave revolution. If it's not for all, what is freedom for? We are a people both quiet and rowdy, moving with the hope of collective joy. Some ways are simple, some gorgeously cloudy. We vow to create rather than destroy, welcoming persistent surprises, pledging to both respect and explore. We'll harmonize with each voice that rises. If it's not for all, what is freedom for? We are a people both humble and haughty, lifting up the saints who have paved the way. Some calmly staid, some deliciously naughty, all of them the reasons we're here today. Glitter, grit, and gratitude gleaming, flaming creatures divine and ablaze. We'll bend the rainbow more with our dreaming. May we be the saints future folks will praise.
Thank you, Michael. Today's ancient testimony comes from that salty, light Jesus. It's from the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 through 16, the inclusive Bible version. Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth, but what if salt were to lose its flavor? How could you restore it? It would be fit for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. You don't build a city on a hill, then try to hide it, do you? You don't light a lamp, then put it under a bushel basket, do you? No. You set it on a stand where it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, your light must shine before others so that they may see your good acts and give praise to your Abba, God, in heaven." Amen. And now it is my honor to welcome to this podium community member Elæ Moss, who is going to give the first of two modern testimonies today. And if you have not met Elæ or don't know Elæ's work, you are in for a treat, not only over the next few minutes, but in all the exploring that I hope you do after this service. So Elæ, take us into this next modern testimony.
Thank you. How many people in the audience are like singing Godspell in your head right now? I can't not. Oh, you've lost something kind of crucial. All right, I've outed myself as a musical theater queer, so we're off to a good start. Good morning. I'm Elæ Moss, and my pronouns are they and them. Is my friend up there? Oh, my friend is up there. I'm so honored to have been invited by Micah to give some modern testimony for Transgender Week of Awareness. Thank you, Micah. To start off with, while I do identify as a trans non-binary person, it feels important to say that throughout my life I've been staunchly not what I would call a joiner. I'm a systems thinker and a student of ecological and human processes and a deep believer in the God is change tenets of our queer saint Octavia Butler. And in general, I avoid fixed identifiers. which means that when it emerged that we had moved into a time where something that I could choose was sort of the opposite of joining, which is to say queer or non-binary, to associate with non-thing rather than thing. That was different. These words felt like doors, expansions rather than contractions. And this is what I want to open today to all of us. The door that these expansive modes of being offer not only those of us who identify as such, but everyone. Let me explain. The passage that's in your bulletin today, it's actually under the For Your Meditation area, and I hope you do meditate on it, is a quote from the trans author and activist Matilda Bernstein Sycamore, taken from her 2020 book, The Freezer Door. I'll come back to it and read it aloud, so you don't even have to follow along. I got you. This passage is, in fact, a quote that I used to open the chapter for the Trans Narratives anthology I wrote a couple of years ago. So before I read it to you, which I will, don't worry, I'd like to offer you and these words some framing, because as soon as Micah invited me to do this, I quickly thought of two very different things that I wanted to include. One of them was this friend, the organism that you see up there for our vision-impaired folks and other folks who may not be able to see it. Does anyone know what it is? I will explain. Who knows what this friend is? Does anyone know? Say it loud. It's slime mold. It's your friend slime mold. And among its many stellar qualities is the fact that it boasts 720 sexes. And important to know me is to know that sometimes I'll write slime mold when I am asked on a form for my gender. We'll circle back on this later. Now, the other gut feeling that I wanted to share, it was some of the thinking that went into the chapter that I mentioned, which the name of is Languaging a Future for Love Persons, Speculative Strategies Towards Radical Transcendence. What? Yes, I'll do that again. Languaging, the word, to language, used as a verb, a future for love persons, I'll get back to that, speculative future, things that you make, invention, strategies towards radical transcendence. We'll come back to that too. Now, if that doesn't mean much to you yet, it might just be working because it's queering our relationship to how we name the world. And the response is somewhat intentionally disorienting. My name is the same, something most have to ask me to pronounce correctly, a designed thing meant to help me become what I refer to as uncomfortable in the mouth. A troubling of the assumptions often too quickly made upon meeting. Upon meeting me, my post-op trans non-binary body and name are doing what I'm doing in this title already, which is a sort of disorientation practice. In fact, I call it a disruptor mechanism. And there's a whole set of these protocols, actually, developed to help ready ourselves for the futures we're in the process of building. A lot of the ways that I use theory, a word that a lot of people are like, oh God, no, in my work are grounded in an approach to the use of language and theory that, again, feels akin to the work of another of our queer saints, Bell Hooks, who refers to this as theory as a liberatory practice, which is to say that I and Hooks see it as a human tool for expansion, for analysis, for observation, and for evolution towards change. I hope you'll join me in this space where both theory and language, and the making of both of these belongs to all of us. They are not stuck in discipline, not siloed in academia, not a specialized thing for a particular person with a particular role. They are for you. We're not only using language and theory all the time, but already speculative language and theory all the time. Humans create and humans name. Systems, institutions, currency, objects, countries, and the very idea of countries all work in this way. I'm just inviting you to take ownership of that, to identify and choose to be an active participant, which is a thing that all trans and non-binary people are already doing. And given this congregation's history of visionary activism and acceptance is likely a thing that many of you have done without naming it as such all your life. In that chapter specifically, I was focusing on the ways that the use of language brings us conceptually into a future that has not necessarily happened yet, laying the groundwork amongst us. Yes, we see this in speculative fiction and other media, but we also begin seeing this in the world, in radical and avant-garde places. Some of this work is justice-oriented, some of this work is created, some of this work, as we've seen in the Judson tradition, is in the avant-garde, in the arts, in dance, in movement, in writing, in film. In my case, I'm talking about language as something we begin to employ in movement, justice movement spaces, and in personal ways towards change. Sometimes it's a thing that you can use alone in quiet to find ownership over identity that doesn't feel safe in the world. Or you might find an underground where the naming of yourself that you give yourself offers validation and care and compassion and awareness to a person that you previously had to hide. The internet, from its origins, has offered spaces that allow and invite this language making, given those present a chance to inhabit and practice selves perhaps not safe on the ground, meaning that the people who've used it have also lived another sort of hybridity in the digital, in ways that were not yet normal for the general public, but very real for any it offered a home to. The disability community, of which I am a part, has had a similar relationship to this corner of human technoscience, unbeknownst to many not considering these other lives. So ultimately, I'm thinking about the way that we as people can use language to bring different futures into being. But it's also a reckoning with the ways that we resist this central human capacity in order to recuse ourselves from the immense interdependent responsibilities it means that all of us have. The term love persons is one of a host of neologisms, which is to say new words, in circulation used to refer to members of non-binary, non-monogamous forms of partnership. And it comes from a growing body of creative terminology, which some but not all of you may have encountered, all of which are simultaneously liberatory and speculative in nature. Maybe you don't want to be a wife. Maybe you have multiple partners, some platonic. Maybe you're all each other's love persons, or polycule, or another word we haven't thought of yet. And then the other part of this chapter had to do specifically in the queer and trans space, how for people like myself, trauma and bioprecarity, so precarity around the safety of the body, keeps us in modern capitalist power structures from being radical in ways that we might otherwise add onto the simply already radical and often risky act of being trans and queer. But in order to get to this possibility of a future where those other things might be safe, the liberation of all people from certain infrastructures, both in our minds and in our worlds, is inextricable from the allowance of more than what we know. We are people of faith, and so we've already made a major allowance for more than what we can substantiate and know. One of the reasons that I brought in the video that you see behind me of the slime mold is because the slime mold is an incredible organism that not only in gender, but in general, defies countless logics with which we are familiar. It is a single-celled organism that can have one but also many nuclei. It can span up to 3 feet in width, I know. It can solve mazes, and it once was used to map the most efficient transit system for Tokyo and its prefectures. But it doesn't have a brain, but it's smarter than you. All right, so slime mold, right? Mycologist Patty Kaison writes in the Science Underground, Mycology as a Queer Discipline, that fungi are, in fact, non-binary, as they are neither plants nor animals, and possess a mixture of qualities common to both groups. It is rare for a fungus to have only 2 biological sexes, and some fungi, such as Schizophilum communae, have as many as 23,000 mating types. So perhaps the slime mold and its infinite genders can tell us something about ourselves as it queers the perceived possible. And with that, we return to the words in your bulletin as promised, some of which may ring true for many of you. It certainly does for me. Queer was one of the first words that spoke to me as the dream I needed in order to survive. I don't know if trans is the same as queer. I mean, I know it is and I know it isn't. I know there can be a gloriousness to the potential of trans as a reimagining beyond conventional gender expectation. If queer laid my foundations, a trans analysis rearranged the structures and gave me space to breathe again. Transgender, to bend, mend, extend, and transcend. Which leads us to the question I asked in that chapter, which I ask you here today. If a trans queered identity can be understood not only as transcending gender and sexuality, but as a liberatory, speculative, meaning-making gesture of abolitionary momentum, of ideological and institutional nonconformity, what keeps us from achieving the futures we and our elders and forebears have imagined? How can QTGNC, which is to say queer, trans, and gender nonconforming liberation, find its footing in both our own reimagined bodies, this one used to be out here, and infrastructural forms of the body politic, evolving beyond a type of hope caught mired in abstraction? Which is to say, how can the allowance of gender and sexuality possibilities beyond what we might have been trained to understand is natural offer us liberation in other ways by helping us practice a sort of speculative relationship to more than the seen? How can we perhaps use the seen to get us to the unseen? How can we use faith to get us to the unseen? How can we use slime mold? How can we use quantum physics? A reminder that someone that believed in more than the seen was able to prove the unseen, which we now must bring back into what we can perceive with our limited capacities, because time is like moving in all directions, hello, to assist us in moving past what we have built with those limited capacities. So that's where I leave you here today, with speculative transcendence towards liberation, with the invitation to bend, mend, and extend, with a reminder of how the body as our first site of learning can help us get there, with, too, an invitation to learn from the evolution of other bodies. People like myself who have taken it upon ourselves as our work in the world to transcend what we were first offered and told that we were, but move beyond that. How might this be the starting point towards everything else that we wish for in abolition and liberation, sanctuary and care? Slime Mold and I are waiting for you to join us on this journey, as are every person around the world and every other than human being on this planet whose survival absolutely relies on you embarking on it with your whole heart. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Eli. Beautiful. Thank you. And Michael, wow, you didn't even need the invitation. Come on up. As we continue to meditate on Eli's offering, I invite you to rise in body and/or spirit, and let's sing Alchemy of Healing.
as we banish the shadow we blame, though hidden may help us to find a true name. So bring all your courage that all may behold, transforming your story in body and soul. Come gather your power with good friends around. Together we stand in the truth of this ground. Our courage can make us, can heal and can mend, and a wound can be sacred, any wound we transcend.
All right, so Elæ is the main attraction today, so don't worry that the preacher's about to give you a full sermon here, okay? I know we started 15 minutes late, and I want us to feel like slime mold right now. We are just continuing to become what this service needs to be. But you have now heard Elæ's invitation, using the words of Matilda Bernstein Sycamore, an invitation to bend, mend, and extend, individually and collectively, toward liberation for all of us. And as Charlotte Clymer says in that other meditation quotation in your bulletin, the liberation of others is no threat to you. Equality is not a pie. There is more than enough for everyone. And now that Elæ has extended this invitation, I want to speak specifically about what I believe the church must do, meaning this church and the church must do in order to heal, repair, and reinvent its relationship to queer, trans, and non-binary people. Some folks might think that it is enough to simply be accepting now of others' otherness, but do you hear what that does? It still centers something as being normal and other things as abnormal. This is a congregation that has been accepting and affirming and welcoming of certain kinds of queerness for a very long time. And I hope that we can lean even more boldly into a full-throated celebration of queerness as we move into that future that Elæ described. Celebration, not just welcoming, not just affirming, not just accepting. Celebration decenters the norm. And it boosts us into something better, and I know that we can get there. But this is Trans Awareness Week. So with all the hope about getting there, we need to make sure that we're really fully aware. Even as we lean into trans joy and celebration, and by God, you are about to see an eruption, an explosion of trans joy on Wednesday. But even as we lead into that joy and celebration here today, in 2023 alone, just over the course of the past 10 months, there have been how many anti-trans bills entered into legislation? How many? Give a guess. 44? 586. 586 anti-trans bills introduced across 49 states. 125 of these bills have failed, thankfully, but 376 of them are still alive, just slithering throughout the country. 85 of them have passed into law. And of those 85 passed bills, 84 of them aren't even being challenged right now. 84 of them have been passed into law. And I find this horrifying. And I find it horrifying, but I don't find it surprising. Because human beings have always been terrified of potentially liberating futures that they can't yet But as we see in today's ancient testimony, this is nothing new. Leaning into the salty flavor of the future and amping up the brightness of our light is literally baked into our ancient scriptures, even the fabric of Christian scripture. And if trans joy isn't salty and light-filled, I don't know what is. In the face of hate and violence and dehumanizing rhetoric, trans, gender non-conforming, and non-binary folks show us that there is a brightness beyond the boxes that we keep building around ourselves and one another. But somewhere along the way, and pretty early on, let's be serious, the Christian church forgot that it's supposed to be salty. The Christian church forgot that it was supposed to be bright and supposed to be queer, and instead decided to be a flavorless, dimmed drag. And that is not the right kind of drag. And we can sit here in Judson today and say that we are not those kind of Christians, and we aren't. We are trying our best to not be those kind of Christians. And we can put a Raquel Willis quotation on the bulletin cover and on our front sign, and we can host Black Trans Liberation Kitchen in our building, and we can put queer saints on our sanctuary walls. But all of these actions must also be accompanied by a commitment to bend, mend, extend, and transcend. And as Christian and Christian adjacent community, I can't think of any better call for us right now across all of our concerns, both individually and collectively, than to bend, mend, extend, and transcend. So here's our invitation. I'm going to leave you with exactly what I think those four things are. Not only for us to embrace them, but to embody them. Bend. Past the false binary lies that are killing many of us and breaking all of us. Bend and again meet the saltiness and the brightness that literally Jesus, the queerest of us all, told us to do. If someone comes at you with some boring clobber verse from Scripture, point them directly to this salt and light verse. That's where the possibility lies. You will be doing them a flavorful favor. Mend. This is an important one. Mend the harm that dominant social narratives are inflicting on the most marginalized, because whether we think we are not those kind of Christians or not, the truth is that both anti-trans legislation and violence are deeply rooted in religious tradition and scripture. And every time we enter this building, we have the opportunity to reimagine that and transcend it, but still people see us walking into this building. And when people walk by, they might not see that Progress Pride flag outside, but they see us a church, and what they see is the harm, and what they see is the violence and the continuing violence. 586 anti-trans bills. So we have to actively mend. We mend, we heal, and most of all, we listen to where the pain is, and we commit to less harm and to more celebration. Extend. Extend our bodies and our hearts and our souls in order for us all to understand that dismantling the cis-hetero Okay, there we go. Cis-hetero patriarchy. You got that word, right? Okay. I don't know what patriarchal, non-God idol was trying to shut me down there, but that's not what happened in this place. Okay. Getting away from the cis-hetero patriarchy actually liberates all of us. If you entered this building today thinking you're here, you're going to sit here, and it's just a trans awareness, you're going to be aware or whatever, think again. It liberates all of us. Read that Raquel Willis quotation that was on our building. You will never, ever be man enough or woman enough or anything enough for that cis-hetero patriarchy to actually affirm you. Because the cis-hetero patriarchy is attached to empire, and empire doesn't want you to thrive. It wants to kill all of the trans folks and the gender non-conforming folks and the non-binary folks so that you don't see the vision of what you can be. Take that because it's gospel truth. No matter how we think we pass, no matter how we hope we fit in, no matter how we think we enjoy the privileges and normality, we have ever-expanding models right in this building today and far beyond these walls, showing us where we can extend. And finally, transcend. Transcend the hopelessness inherent in transphobia. Transphobia is literally just dripping with hopelessness. Truly, we are people of faith, but we are also people of radical hope. The hate and fear that gets spouted at trans folks is laden with hopelessness. Trans folks show us that we can not only can be more, but that we are more actively right now if we choose to be. So don't be hopeless. Be hopeful. The future is actively shaping itself in front of us, and all we have to do is jump into the slime mold. So do you understand that no matter how you identify or don't identify, you are replacing these actions? Do you? Okay. If it's still unclear, come and find me after the service. Clearly I like talking. I don't even need to learn anything. Words can be inadequate signifiers and potentials as big as the ones that we've got in front of us, so let's keep talking about it. And then we will find our way through together. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. But if salt loses its flavor, it is worth nothing. If light is dim, it is worth nothing. And both things, flavorless salt and dimmed light, they are dripping with hopelessness. Be people of radical hope. Bend, mend, extend, and transcend. And keep yourself turned on. Arise in body and or spirit. That's like not in the script, I mean that. Arise in body and or spirit. We are going to sing together. These songs are for you. This path is for you. Bend, mend, extend, and transcend. Arise, your way is coming.
Bind up the broken-hearted ones and comfort those who mourn. Arise, your light is come, the mountain burst in song. Rise up like eagles on the wing, God's power will make us strong.
Please be seated. Michael, you're doing a great job. These folks are doing wonderful. Now is the moment in our service where we remind you that this place thrives on offerings of all kinds. You will see baskets going around this space. If you have some cash, if you have checks that you would like to share to financially support this place, they will be very welcome in those baskets. Also, listed in your bulletin and shared by Matthew in the Zoom room there, you will find multiple ways that you can give online financially, but also remember, there are so many other ways that you give, so many other ways that I see the faces out here giving, and know that that is as appreciated as the financial gifts. We will thrive on the combination of all of those things. And speaking of offerings, a creative offering from the creative team of Doll Girl is about to blow the roof off this place. Thank you too so much for being here. Lisa and Joseph, take it away.
Joseph will set the song up further, but given the theme of awareness, of transness, the song we're about to sing deals with Greer's time and dealing with the onset of the AIDS crisis. And as a trans woman who has been in this experience for quite some time, the current movement we see and what we talk about with legislation is the same, parallels the AIDS crisis of the 80s, when the gay experience is demonized and dehumanized because of a crisis that is happening in their community. So exactly in this moment now, the trans experience is being demonized, dehumanized by legislation of those that I don't even care to investigate their motive anymore. I simply do not care. It's a waste of time for me. But I would like for you to make that parallel for yourself and think that through to maybe help you understand, for the non-trans folks, the prison that we keep ourselves in by allowing legislation of different types of experiences.
In a rare video interview of Greer, she was asked about the onset of the AIDS crisis in the 80s in New York City. And she told a story about her phone book. Now remember, this is the 80s, and those of us that were around then, like myself, we had actual paper phone books, right? We didn't have our phones or our Outlook calendars and things like that. And she said that every time one of her friends passed, she would cross out their entry in the phone book and start a list at the end. And when she got close to 40, she had to stop because it was too difficult. That interview inspired this next song entitled Phone Book of the Dead.
When a name is just a name, a number's just a number. When all the writing looks the same, just a memory to remember. Here on the page, letters have no meaning. Here on the page, numbers don't add up. In my phone book of the dead, move from one side to another, crossed out here and scribbled there. When one list outweighs the other, but you hang there in my head. Haunted friend or haunted lover, in this place I'm better off dead. In this ghost town gone forever. Why am I here and you are gone? When I have been as bold and reckless, when will the last of you be drawn? Will I ever feel less helpless? Here on the page I just stopped counting. Here on the page it's just too much. In my phone book of the dead, move from one side to another, crossed out here and scribbled there. When one list outweighs the other, but you hang there in my head. Haunted friend or haunted lover, in this place I'm better off dead. In this ghost town gone forever.
Kevin McPhee, Gerano Salermo, Max DeCorsha, Ann Craig, Daniel Egan, Joe Parter, Way Bandy, Mark Dirt, Peter Hujar, Joel Riskinoff, Billy Browning, Cookie Mueller, Victoria Scarpati, Keith Davis, Robert Gibbs, Joshua, Kenny Angelico, Martin Burgoyne, Dennis Perry, Nicholas Mufaj, Costa Pops, Kevin Connolly, Les Moore, Stephen DePietri, Keith Haring, Carl Appelshinton, Dean Squared, Francie, Seng Chi, Joe Dietrich, Stephen C., Michal Sage, John Sex, Robert Vitale, Louis Frangella.
Why am I still here in a world that's made for others? No path seems clear. You are gone, so I walk alone. All the boys have disappeared from the cancer of their lovers. Love and lust has killed our brothers. When a name is just a name, when a number's just a number, when all the writing looks the same, just a memory to remember. Here on the page, letters have no meaning. Here on the page, numbers don't add up. In my phone book of the dead, move from one side to another, crossed out here and scribbled there. When one list outweighs the other, but you hang there in my head. Haunted friend or haunted lover, in this place I'm better off dead. In this ghost town gone forever.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph and Lisa. Please join us Wednesday evening to hear the story of Greer Langton. Thank you. Also, Eli, thank you so much. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Michael, for leading us, and please rise in body and or spirit. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Bend, mend, extend, and transcend. The service here might be ending, but our service in the world continues. Let's sing our way out as we continue this work together. Amen.
All the colors of the rainbow live unseen in daily light, but their splendors find expression when released to human sight. So the church reveals most beauty where diversity is real. Breadth of race and class and gender make sounds that vary, of bespeak a common home, longing for the end of conflict and a new life in God's shalom. Teach us, God, our need of others. Through them help us fully live. Wean us from our selfish habits. Let us listen, learn, forgive. May we see your long for image in each human heart and face, and behold how those around us can be channels of your grace.
Michael Koehn, everyone. Thank you for leading us so much. Everyone, beautiful, beautiful singing. Thank you for joining us today. I hope we'll see you on Wednesday as well. But now is the moment in our service where this lectern is open for community members to share celebrations and concerns that they would like to hold in community.